The vision of Rural Ontario Institute is building vision, voice, and leadership for a strong and vibrant rural Ontario. Help me welcome Rob Black.
Thanks very much, Grace. It is a pleasure to be here, folks, to join you in the seminar for the next couple of days. I will too be here for the next till tomorrow night. So if you've got questions, let's chat over lunch or dinner or a drink at the bar. So I was here today to talk about the critical role of rural development organizations, and specifically to speak about the Rural Ontario Institute. As was mentioned, our vision is to build our vision, voice, and leadership for a strong and vibrant rural Ontario. And we do that through developing leaders, initiating dialogue, supporting collaboration, and promoting action on issues and opportunities facing rural Ontario. We're not in a fight about turf wars. We don't have turf, our organization. We just work at bringing people together. Just a little bit of history. Our organization started on April 1st of 2010. That was an April Fool's joke that year, but certainly it wasn't. It was an amalgamation of two provincial organizations, one called the Centre for Rural Leadership and one called the Ontario Rural Council. Both organizations were provincial in nature. Both our predecessor organizations were provincial in nature, and over the life of 10 or 12 years that they were in existence, came to the realization that working together under a new banner was the best thing to do. And so on April 1st of 2010, the Rural Ontario Institute was born. Our organization, the governance structure, it's an Ontario incorporated not-for-profit organization with charitable status through CRA. It's governed by a 12-member board of directors who are the only members of the organization. Other than that, we have subscribers to our organization who don't actually have a say in the governance model. The 12-member board are the governing members. Board members come from across the province, and as the governance committee goes out and seeks new board members, they are looking at various geographies and various sectors that are covered, and we look at our own organization and what's needed. But we also have board members who apply to join us. And for the last 5 years, we've had more than enough. We've had to make decisions on who comes onto the board as a result of applications and us going out and finding them. So that's good stuff. Board members sit on the board for 3 years at a term, and they can sit for 2 terms before they have to leave for 1 year. 5 to 6 meetings each year. We operate under a policy governance model. The board sets direction, they direct and protect, and then get out of our way, and a small staff of 3 deliver the problem, get the work done and deliver the programming. 3 standing committees of the board, and then ad hoc as necessary, and that seems to work for our organization. The staff structure, it's a lean staffing structure. When we came together, we did have actually more staff, and over time, over that first year and a half, because of finances and efficiencies, we moved down to a staff of 3 full-time, and then we bring on contract full and part-time folks when is necessary, as funding is available, as projects are brought forward. A part-time bookkeeping staff member who comes in half a day a week and provides the services of a bookkeeper. We're a small office located in rural Ontario. As we say, we can see here and we can smell rural, and it's all good. We're just north of Guelph, Ontario, and we do cover the province and provide opportunities in a variety of areas across the province, but it is a small staff. And we pride ourselves on being an organization that walks the talk. We're known as an organization that shares our policies, our procedures, and the things that we do with others. And so instead of copyright, it's copyleft. Anyone can take whatever they want from our organization and use it within their own organization. But we do pride ourselves in walking the talk, both at the staff and at the board level. Early on in our existence, our key areas, result areas, are pillars of engagement. The buckets, as was mentioned earlier, strong leaders, strong organizations, and strong rural communities. We work in doing things around effective facilitation of dialogue and collaboration on issues and opportunities. And another bucket is the Effective Rural Ontario Institute. And so we spent the first year getting these buckets right, and have moved forward as a result in the 3 areas. And we provide services within those 3 areas. So I guess just where to begin, the sandbox that we play in is that triangle underneath the lined arrow, the arrow line. We play in the area of helping folks develop local responses that build on the strengths and the assets and engagement within communities, within sectors, within identified issue areas of what we do. We don't, we leave specific issues to organizations that they are more tagged with. We talk more about the big hairy issues that maybe don't have a home with one or more specific organization. Things like youth out-migration, things like rural health and aging, things like rural transportation are areas that we might get engaged in rather than things like wind turbines in rural Ontario or things like that. Those issues are dealt with in other areas by other organizations. So the sandbox we play in is in that triangle. We are not a regional development organization, but we are a rural community development organization, and we assist others in helping to set other organizations, communities, individuals, to set priorities, deal with issues, and enhance local and organizational capacity across the province. We collaborate, we bring folks together, we facilitate, we promote dialogue across sectors, communities, and issues and interests. And while similar principles exist between regional economic development and rural economic development, we don't have money to hand out to, we're not a financing organization, but the University of Guelph, where we're located nearby, identified some key factors of success around economic development. We think they're similar to things that we're involved in: leadership, planning and vision, mobilizing resources, helping people identify those resources, developing partnerships, getting community, getting organizations, getting individuals engaged, and talking about and working at adapting to change. Another study done in the States by the North Carolina School of Governance certainly talks about other community economic development principles. And again, many of those proactive, future-oriented, defining assets and opportunities are things that we're involved in helping folks think about as they move forward within their communities, within their organizations, and as individuals in rural Ontario. So specifically, things that we do, we provide leadership programming across rural Ontario, both at the individual development stage, a program that has been going for 30 years that we're intimately involved with is called the Advanced Agricultural Leadership Program, AALP. We're also into delivering customized leadership programming for organizations and for communities when and if necessary, and when they can pay for it. We cannot deliver this programming without being paid accordingly, and that's something we quickly realized. We have folks, we have organizations, we have individuals knocking at our door wanting capacity building, leadership development, and unfortunately they're knocking, but they also can't afford to pay us even to deliver it. So that's unfortunate. We continue to make that known to our provincial counterparts, provincial government, in hopes that they'll recognize that capacity building is important across rural as well. We're in the policy, dialogue, and influence area. We build networks and organize events. We connect stakeholders. We monitor emerging issues and opportunities and help others to set research priorities. We don't do research, but we may be involved in identifying those priority research topics. And as we can, we're involved in knowledge transfer as well, through our website, through delivery of forums and workshops and webinars. But as I say, with a staff of 3, we're limited in the resources that we have. We're also involved in projects and contracts, third-party contracts that we're involved in that we get paid for. Specifically, in the last year or 2, we were involved in a newcomer and youth communities indicators toolkit, which we put together with help from Stats Canada and the Conference Board of Canada to help rural communities across the province benchmark themselves against others in the province with regard to newcomer and youth community indicators. We updated that just this past year, And so the fact that we had developed it brought us more business when they wanted to have it updated. It belongs to the provincial government. It's not ours. We refer people to it. We received some funding to look at the whole idea or issue of rural transportation, and so that was a 10-month project that brought together folks in forums to talk about the issue across the province, look at a variety of case studies and projects that are working well across the province. We put together a case study booklet of 10 positive examples of rural transportation solutions. And then we provided the document and the results to the provincial government. And out of that came a program that the provincial government put in place through the Ministry of Transportation that provided 22 rural communities with funding over 3 years to develop their own rural community transportation solutions. So that's the type of thing that we look to and say we were successful. Does the provincial government say it was because of us? No, but certainly we think we had a role to play in that small project that is now being funded as a pilot. We have been hired by universities to review research briefs and the various documents and develop policy briefs, which are then posted back by the universities to on their own websites. So we certainly look for those third-party contracts, and that's where we also make our funds as well. The Advanced Ag Leadership Program is a program that I'm intimately involved with. It is a leadership program for current and emerging leaders in the province and beyond, actually, as our graduates move elsewhere. So just a couple of testimonials, 3 testimonials. I'll just read one of them. The very first one, graduate of the program, said we had the opportunity to network and learn from industry, community, and political leaders and each other as peers. I've adapted my leadership skills and style, recognizing the importance of independence in governance and the value of leadership by listening in his own business, which is a mutual insurance company. And so this program has been around for 30 years. It's a 19-month, 50-day leadership and capacity building program, which is well received across the province. In 30 years, we've had 10 people not complete the program out of 450 involved in it. So we think we're doing something right. At the same time, we do have other programming that we're involved in, and when we can, we bring those programs beyond sort of the Guelph-centric or southwestern Ontario area. Quote from the very top quote from one of our customized programs for the cattlemen's industry. Thanks for coming to the north. This leadership program gave me the renewed confidence that I could take on the role of a leader. And so we are helping to build the capacity of folks across rural Ontario. We're aligned with and have connections with the University of Guelph, where our graduates of the ELK program actually get credit towards their MBA in leadership. And so we think this program does well for building the capacity beyond our programming. And our the professional director certification program offered through a private company in Ontario through University of Saskatchewan actually provides ELK graduates with a discount for participating in that program as well. So we think we've got some pretty good programming when it comes to leadership development across the province. When it comes to measuring, the measuring of impact and measuring evaluation is tough at any time, whether it be leadership or whether it be our policy development and stakeholder engagement. But we have done some leadership measurement with respect to the ELK program, a social return on investment study back in 2012, ongoing and regular program evaluation, and then an international study through an organization that we belong to centered outside the university, centered at the University of Florida. And so our programming, our leadership, our capacity building programming is doing good things in rural Ontario. At the same time, we're facilitating dialogue and connecting stakeholders. We've developed a series of fact sheets that were 2 years in the making now. We have 33 titles on those fact sheets, and I'll speak a little bit more about them tomorrow as well. Those fact sheets are sent to our members of provincial parliament. They're sent to our rural community and municipal councillors and others, and we're hearing third hand and by way of how they're using them. We're hearing that they're using them as they go and talk to provincial leaders and as they make determination around priorities within their communities. Those fact sheets are all available online. They're 2 pages. We've hired a statistician retired from StatsCan, and he's made them into hopefully readable 2-page documents that are user-friendly, and we think they are. At the same time, we deliver forums around issues, and so in 2013-14 we held 9 forums on youth employment, health and aging, and transportation, talking about the issues around the province, and then pulling together a report which then we share with provincial government and other agencies and organizations that we think that need to hear what's being said out there. So we are a voice in rural Ontario. We're not the voice, we're a voice, helping to get the message out and bring those words to the folks that need to hear them. Just as an example, through the Trillium, the Accelerating Rural Transportation Solutions, this is the type of organizations that we brought together around the table as we delivered the program. So these weren't necessarily sponsors. These were folks who were at the table from the start to the finish and played a role in delivering that project to the end. I have talked already about the Focus on Rural Ontario fact sheets. They are 2-page fact sheets. They're delivered and available free of charge. And we also, as they're distributed, we also engage the media, and surprisingly enough, the media find them very valuable as well. And so they're out there being used across the province. When we started, we thought we would be able to engage folks online in a big way, and we thought that might be one of the biggest ways we would engage folks across the province. We quickly realized that it's not the only way, and would never be the only way. But we do have a subscribership of close to 1,000 now. Subscribers, it enables their individuals and organizations to connect through our organization without the need to attend meetings or be involved in governance, but stay in touch and stay involved. They get access to blogs around issues and consultations that we're involved in, reports and resources, links that we get from other organizations, and certainly social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, we're using in a big way as well these days. We do get involved in workshops, as I've mentioned, and a variety of them through organizations across the province that we're invited to participate in and attend. So we have good connections across the province and make use of those linkages and connections across the province and around the world, internationally and into the US as well, as we can. And so it's exciting. Ongoing policy dialogue, we also play a role in that. We were contracted by the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs last spring to coordinate and deliver a Rural Ontario Summit and pull together proceedings from that, which in essence after that created a roadmap for rural Ontario for the provincial government. We haven't had any further role in that roadmap, and that's one of our goals and aspirations with this new government in Ontario, which is just slightly less than a year old, is to determine how we might play a role in that developed roadmap for rural Ontario. We played a role in communicating with the Ministry of Education around school closings and pupil accommodation reviews, and like every other province, our province is going through a number of school closures and school reviews, and so we keep on top of that and make sure that politicians and bureaucrats are aware of the issues of closing down a school in rural Ontario. We contribute to the, back up here. We contribute to the Rural Perspective, as I've mentioned. We meet with, when we can, with the Premier and with the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs and his or her office staff. And we provide submissions to various ministry consultations as well. So when we can't be there or when we can't pull folks together, we'll make submissions on behalf of the board and the organization. We participate in KTT Knowledge Transfer, Rural Knowledge Transfer Network, centered around the University of Guelph, and with other universities that are doing work in the rural environment. Monessen Centre at Queen's, the University of Waterloo, and the University of Western Ontario. We provide webinars where we bring together the leadership and the community development pieces. So we bring the two buckets together and provide opportunities for knowledge transfer around leadership and how things are taking place in rural Ontario. And so the very last one in the lower right-hand corner, we recently held a guru session and brought folks in over 5 webinars from around the world to talk about rural community development and leadership and what's the good stuff that's taking place out there. So that's the type of things we do. This is a shot of a fraction of our partners, our funders, and our sponsors. So with 3 people and lots to do, we do look to our funders and our sponsors to help us achieve what we are achieving. And so this is just an incomplete visual on how we do our work collaboratively and with others. As I mentioned, we thought that we might be able to engage folks online more than we have been able to, and that's a function of really it's important that people see each other face to face as well as online. But one of the things we did put in place early on is something called the Rural Ontario Reader, which is really an RSS feed that is updated on a regular daily and weekly basis to pull together various documents on the web in a variety of buckets. And so this is available for folks to access and look at. But it is only one of the options that we offer. Getting together face-to-face is the other. Our relationship with the provincial government, we have funding from the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs and the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And certainly this funding is what keeps us going, along with our sponsorship, the tuition and registrations for our various programs, and business development, revenue generation that we look to and get. Provincial government provides advice on program design when we need to. We have a wonderful relationship with our provincial government, and that stems from the fact that 2 of the 3 staff members used to work and have long-time careers with the provincial government, and those bridges we haven't built and we haven't burnt as we've left that organization. And so we do look to the provincial government to help us, not necessarily in funds, although that's very nice too, but as we develop programming, and we look to them to support us in other ways. But at the same time, we hope that we're supporting them in the work that they're doing through providing insight on what is, I guess we call ground intelligence out in rural Ontario. Looking forward, and now to the challenges, and this is really challenges of our organization. Budget is always an issue. The $4 million budget that we saw earlier, our budget is just shy of $1 million. Much of that comes from sponsorship and programming that we deliver and program development. Some of it, a little bit, comes from the provincial government, but organization budget and the consequences of cash flow are always an issue. That's what keeps me up at night. Absolutely keeps me awake every night. Growing Forward 2 funds, we have not been successful in accessing provincial or federal Growing Forward $2, which when they have as one of their mandates capacity building in rural and ag, we find it difficult that we're not able to access anything there. Meeting the demand of organizations and community leadership development requests. As I mentioned, we get knocks on the door for leadership training across the province, and unless organizations or individuals are able to pay for it, we're not able to support them. Inadequate core funding. Many of our organizations across the country have this. And as I mentioned earlier, that we want to find that relevant role as the provincial government in their next 3 years as a mandate looks to continue that rural Ontario roadmap. What's our role? And so to that end, we're hoping that they'll help us to identify how we might be able to help them. Our strategy going forward, as it is noted there, we're a flexible organization, small full-time staff. We bring in folks when we need help and when we can get funds to do that. Revenue generation through customized leadership programming is increasing. Organizations, ag and rural organizations in the province of Ontario, for the first time in the last 3, 4, and 5 years, have finally put governance board training on as a line item in many of their budgets. And so they're now thinking about how they can support their board, their members, their up-and-coming current and emerging leaders within their organizations. And so to that end, we feel we can provide some leadership training, capacity building for them, and we're doing that. We've got to continue to seek out and look for enhanced sponsorship opportunities and finding resources to target our programming, but also to measure that impact. And so that's important, and that's a tough one. Our funders are telling us we need to be able to measure that impact. When we ask what they need, they can't tell us, and they can't tell us how they might do it in their own organizations, which is tough. But we need to find a way to measure our impact going forward. So how can organizations like ROI and like the other organizations we've heard about help? They can support and encourage community capacity building and leadership development, support community engagement and priority setting. They can be a nonpartisan third-party organization and involved. They can bring people together to collaborate and help others focus on issues, and that's really what we do. The Rural Ontario Institute is collaborative and responsive by nature. We're objective and knowledgeable. We're neutral, and we pride ourselves in that neutrality. We are nonpartisan, and we're positioned to assist folks across the province to engage in dialogue on issues that matter. So we develop leaders, we facilitate dialogue and collaboration, and we do have a track record, both as the 5 years as the organization, and also the 10 or 12 years as our predecessor organizations, which were active in rural Ontario prior to April 1st of 2010. We're proud of our leadership programming endeavors. We're proud of the fact sheets that we do. We're proud of the quality of our board members and the staff that are involved. We're proud that our organization is acknowledged and recognized as walking the talk. And so I do get calls regularly from other organizations wanting to borrow our policy manual, wanting to borrow or take and use, copy and paste, use our board organization manuals and our policies and various documents that we have. And we're happy to do that. That's the third pillar that we're involved in, which is an effective Rural Ontario Institute. So we are able to be connected both on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. And thanks very much for the opportunity to tell you a bit more about an organization that I'm absolutely passionate about.